Is now the best time to go short? If you are interested in this issue, please follow me and we will see that Bitcoin is currently blocked at the position of $27,300. What about this position? We have tested it in the early stage. It is a very clear swap. You can see that there is resistance behind the support at this position. It is very normal for us to have a certain resistance now. Especially for Bitcoin, it has already touched the trend line. We can use magnet. Use a magnet and connect the tip of the needle. We can draw the strictest trend line. What does it mean? In fact, even if the trend line is at the same position, it will be drawn in many different ways. So what do I think about the thickness of the line? Some people say that my trend line is too thick. I think the thickness is meaningless because the line is a relatively vague concept. But it has the strictest and the loosest. If I doodle like this, it is looser. If I even the most stringent one, that is, if I use a magnet to connect the tip of the needle, is broken, then this trend line must be broken. Because the one connected to the tip of the needle is the most stringent. If our trend line is moved upward, if there is a breakthrough, I believe we can usher in a relatively good and rapid wave of this kind of rise. But personally, judging from the current market situation, I am still relatively bearish. In fact, our reasons have been stated many times. Yesterday, we compared our position at this position. We are currently in the early stage of its rise, which is the period before the correction. In fact, it is moving relatively strongly. This period is relatively strong, but this time we can find that these two K lines have closed relatively long upper shadow lines. Of course, in fact, our K line is relatively short, but the upper shadow line is very long. This is not possible. Deny the fact that we are in a more advanced position. This wave of relatively violent pull-up. After a short adjustment and a short pullback, two very long physical parts and very long shadow parts appeared in succession. Very short yang lines, these two yang lines actually laid the foundation for our rise. You can see that our current situation is actually different from the previous situation. So if we go short at this position, in fact, as for the stop loss, I personally will definitely place it at the position of our previous high, which is 28,200. If our previous high is broken, I believe we can usher in a relatively rapid wave of gains. What do you mean? We can open it. VPVR. If we turn on VPVR and observe the accumulation of chips, you can find that we have two relatively large vacuum levels. The first one is at the position from 29,000 to 27,000. This is what happens if we break through at 27300. Then we have a very good chance to reach 29,000 directly in a very short period of time. Just like our previous decline, it is so fast. It is a bit like when we were going through this market and this market was as fast. Of course, below us there is a period of time when the volume can accumulate. If it can break through the trend line, it can break through our double trend line and have a horizontal exchange. I believe it is not difficult to reach 30,000, but can it break through the previous high? Can it break through 32,000? If there is a further rise, it is more difficult to say. This depends on the subsequent performance. But if we are here, we have caught a wave of short prices. Of course, I personally still think that our rise is just a wave. On the rebound, I personally am still relatively bearish based on the current market situation. If we place a short order now, we must seize the opportunity of falling below 25,000. If it falls below 25,000, we can see a position of 22,000 or 21,000. I think he definitely has a chance to arrive. Because when we are above, his range is already too large. And in the subsequent wave of the market, he has already shown signs of bullish exhaustion. At the current position of 27,300, he is a very good advance in my opinion. Even if the price of the bottom position is relatively on the left. We can observe Bitcoin and Ethereum. In fact, if we compare it, we can find that Ethereum is relatively weak. How can I put it? We can observe that Ethereum is in the current market. A downward trend line can also be drawn, and our current trend line is also touching the position. Of course, if there is a breakthrough, I believe it can also have a wave of increase. But the increase will not be as much as that of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is based on its current in terms of trend, it is definitely stronger than Ethereum. That is, if you consider going long, you can consider going long Bitcoin. Of course, there has not been a breakthrough yet. I personally will not go long, but if we have a breakthrough, I believe that this wave of rising prices will still happen relatively quickly. If you want to choose to go short, you must start with Ethereum. Why? You can see that we will only discuss our subsequent wave of rising prices. This wave of rising prices will go. We can compare with each other. After the current wave of pullbacks, Ethereum is basically at its original position. It is not even a new high. The current position is at least not a new high. It has hit a new high, but we have now received the previous high. Then let's look at Bitcoin. We have also framed the same position for Bitcoin's trend. We are already higher than the previous high, and we have broken through the high point generated by our previous shock. There is no Ethereum at the top of the box. We have not yet broken through the top of the box. So Ethereum is definitely weaker than Bitcoin. If we want to short Ethereum, it is definitely the best choice. If there is a breakthrough in Bitcoin or Ethereum, we can consider placing a heavier position on Bitcoin because it is relatively strong. At present, we can actually try to place orders for Bitcoin and Ethereum first. In fact, the stop-loss price can be set. Why is it set at the previous high? Because I think if our price can reach the previous high, as long as we can touch any pin, I think that our short position will be good. It takes time to wait. So now I can place the order first. We can place the stop-loss at 1650. We can consider placing the previous high position at about 1750. The current clear swap is about 1650, so we can place a current price order. For example, 1650, and then according to the value. Personally, we can place a bottom position based on the value, and then we can consider adding a position later, because currently placing orders directly is definitely a left-hand method. Then when setting the stop-loss, I personally will definitely set the stop-loss for shorting. Our stop-loss is set at 1750. Then we can directly confirm it. I personally will place a passive order because this way we can reduce the handling fee a little bit. Just press open and sell directly. Of course, if you are lazy, you can also directly use the market price. But I personally rarely use the market price. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, I will use the same method, but what about our positions? You can consider opening a smaller one. We also use the current price to open a position. Then we can open it at 27,300, which is also the price we just talked about. Then I personally place orders based on value, but I personally will keep the Bitcoin position smaller. Because if it falls, Ethereum must have fallen more, and it has also been relatively weak. If it's 100 million, let's put 50,000 first. I personally will definitely place a stop loss at the opening. There will be a stop loss before the order, otherwise we will not be able to protect our entire account. The stop loss is 28,200, which is also the stop loss we just talked about. Of course, we first place a bottom position to open a sell position, so we will put all the orders now. Hang it up. In fact, when it comes to adding positions, I personally pay more attention to this place. Let's cut the level a little smaller. Let's cut it down to 4 hours. If we talk about adding positions, in fact, what we use now is the oscillating box. With the oscillating box, what we seize is the opportunity for him to fall back to this box. If he falls back to this box, you can find that we are currently in a double top structure similar to this. If we fall back to this box, it means that we have fallen below 20,000. If the position is 6,700, then I personally think this will be a very good point to add a position. Of course, adding more or less depends on the amount of our decline. So why did we grab 27,300? Well, we have seen swaps on the daily line. In fact, we have also seen swaps at the small level at 4 hours. You can find that we have support here in the early stage at this position, and then there is resistance here. He has swaps. What about us now? This position is very precise. This position is 27,300. He also inserted 2 needles in a row, and then after touching it, he had a relatively rapid fall. So I think it is more appropriate to open a position at this place. If the stop loss is high and the money can be broken, then our short position may really have less chance in the short term. In Ethereum, there is actually a similar story, but Ethereum can go the same way. It is weaker. If we talk about short selling, Ethereum is definitely more suitable than Bitcoin. If you want to participate in these trading opportunities, you are very welcome to use the Bybit link below. Now, as long as you are a new user, you can make a KYC deposit of $100. It will give you $30 in cash. You can withdraw the coins directly. It doesn't matter if you don't need to trade. You only need to make a KYC deposit of $100 and you can use the $100 you recharged and give away the $30 to withdraw all the coins. With BitGet, you don't need to trade or deposit. All you need is KYC. We will give you a trial fee of $20. And if you are a mainland user, you can also directly KYC on BitGet. You are very welcome. You can like my video, subscribe, share and open the little bell. It's the biggest support for me. Thank you very much. Bye.